All right, let's look at the homework 2.6, problem number 9. All right, so we have f of x is equal to x times square root of 64 minus x squared, and we want to find the second derivative. All right, so let's do that first. All right, so we have this function, and I don't like square root, so I'm going to rewrite it as x times quantity 64 minus x squared, right? And then the power would be, so square root is equivalent to 1/2 power. So we have that. All right, so we have two things multiplied together. We're going to use the product rule. All right, so derivative of the first guy is 1. So I'm going to put just a 1 there, all right? All right, we got that. And then multiply by the second guy. So I'm just going to just copy exactly the same thing for the second one, all right? So we got that. All right, the second term would be just x times, right? And then we have to find the derivative of this second factor. So we're going to use the general power rule. So I'm going to first place the power 1/2 in front. All right. Then we keep this exactly the same quantity, which is 64 minus x squared. Got that? Then subtract 1 from the power. So it's going to be negative 1/2. Right? So we got that. And then multiply by derivative of inside, which is going to be negative 2. So I'm going to put, negative 2x, sorry, negative 2x, right? So we put that, right? So we're going to start simplifying it. So since it's a video, I'm going to just do it right on here, right? First thing I would do is multiply by 1. Really doesn't do anything, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Right, so we get this. All right, and the next thing we can do is here. There's a 2 on top. There's a 2 on the bottom, so we can cancel that out. So I'm going to just completely scratch that out. So I'm going to get rid of 1/2 and this 2 there. Right, so we get that. Right. Then here you have a negative x and there's a positive x. So I'm going to combine that and write it as a negative x squared, right? So negative x squared. Right? So we can rewrite that, right? Then next step is I'm going to write this negative power. Instead, I'm going to write it as a fraction, right? So we can actually write it as we're going to have x squared on the numerator, right? Then you have 64 minus x squared to the 1/2 power on the denominator, right? So we can rewrite it this way. I'm going to make it look a little bit bigger so that you can see it better, right? So we have this, right? Then another thing is I'm going to take the common denominator. So we can rewrite this first term as, let's see, we're going to have 64 minus x squared. So this is going to look like this, right? So fraction of 64 minus x squared over 64 minus x squared to the 1/2 power. So this is equivalent to 64 minus x squared to the 1/2 power, right? Then we combine these together. So you have looks like we have the same denominator because we found the common denominator, and we have negative x squared, and you have another negative x squared. So I'm going to write it as negative 2x squared. So this is what we get. So that, right? And one more thing I would do is since 64 and 2 are multiple 2, even number, I'm going to pull 2 out here. So pull 2 out. So 64 divided by 2 is 32. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So you end up getting this. So I just pulled 2 out here. Right? So this is the first derivative. All right? So we're going to take the another derivative. So I'm going to use the quotient rule, right? So I'm going to put the 2 outside, all right? So 2 outside because that's just a constant multiple. Then we're going to have to do quotient rule. So easy one is we can just square the denominator first. So 64 minus x squared. And you're going to get that, right? Because square that, square root is gone, right? So the denominator is done, right? Derivative of the numerator is negative 2x, right? So we have that, or actually I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, right? Right, negative 2 times the denominator. So I'm just going to, copy the denominator and put it on there. So you have this guy right here. All right, so that's derivative of the top and then times the bottom. And since it's a quotient rule, it's going to be minus the top. So I'm going to just copy the top, which is 32 minus x squared. All right, so we got that. And then times the derivative of the bottom. All right, so this is where we have to use the general power rule. All right, so we want, let's see, put the 1/2 in front. All right, we put 1/2 in front. All right, then so keep the same quantity. So we're going to have 64 minus x squared, right? Then subtract 1 from the power, so it's going to be a negative 1/2, all right? And then multiply by derivative of the inside function, which is a negative 2x. So we're going to multiply by negative 2x, all right? All right, so we got this yucky expression here. All right, so let's simplify. All right, first I can cancel 2 on top, and then there's a 2 on the bottom. So I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of that. All right, and here. So you end up with this. All right, and another thing we can do is, let's see, what's in common? You have x here and x here, actually also the negative sign here. So I'm going to pull out the negative sign. Let's pull out the negative sign first. So if you pull out the negative sign, we're going to get this here, right? So here. All right, so I pulled the negative sign there, and there was a negative sign there, I pulled that out. And also, these two terms, both have x here, and there's x there. I'm going to pull that out. So if you pull that out, let's see, we're going to have so x there. So x is pulled out. We end up getting something like this, right? X is already pulled out. All right, and looks like nothing else we can pull out. So what we can do is we're going to try to eliminate fraction inside the fraction, right? So if you see this negative 1/2 power, so negative means that there's a reciprocal involved, so there's going to be a fraction. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by reciprocal of this guy. So which is going to be, so I'm going to put the multiply by, let's see, so numerator is going to be 64 minus x squared raise it to the positive 1/2 power, right? So we get that, right? Then we're going to have to do the same through the denominator because so that we don't change the function. So I'm going to get that, right? So let's simplify this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply out the denominators. So this is a first power. You have a 1/2 power. If you multiply them together, you have 3/2 power. So we can just simply put 3/2 power, let's see, here. So I'm going to put the 3/2 power combined. So we combine this. I'm going to get rid of this guy right here. Let's see. Hold on a sec. Yep. All right. So we have this. All right. So we took out the denominator. All right. So here I'm going to distribute this guy to this first term here, right? Then we can get rid of the square 1/2 power, because 1/2 power times another 1/2 power is going to give you a first power, right? So I'm going to just get rid of 1/2 power there, right? So I'm going to do that, right? So that's the distribution is done. Right here, if I distribute this to the second term, right, these are reciprocal of each other, so you can cancel those out. So 64 minus x squared to the negative 1/2 power is completely gone, right? Then you cancel those out. All right, so if you cancel them out, so you're going to end up with just that. All right. Then I'm going to just clean it up a little bit further. Right, so you have, right, so if you multiply 2 and a 64, so it's going to be 128. So I'm going to just write 128. Then you have a 2 times negative x squared, so it's going to be negative 2x squared. So we get this, right? Then I'm going to distribute the negative sign, so it's going to be a negative 32, and then it's going to be plus x squared, right? Then I'm going to get rid of the parenthesis there, right? So x squared and the negative 2x squared, I'm going to combine it together. You're going to get the negative x squared, right? So you can simplify that. All right, then we're going to get, let's see, 128 minus 32. So what's that? So 8 minus 2 would be 6. All right, and then let's see, 12 minus 3 would be 9. All right, so it's going to be 96, and then 32 is now gone. All right, so you get that. All right, so we have this. All right, then I'm going to, let's see, try to set that equal to 0. All right, so this is a second derivative. Maybe I should type that in first. All right, so here we have that. Oops, sorry. All right, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Here. All right, so what we got was, let's see if I remember, negative 2x. Then you have 96 minus x squared. Over, right? And you have quantity 64 minus x squared, and raise it to the 3/2 power. Right? So let's see. That's not what I wanted to do here. Yep. Right. So we have that. All right. Let's go ahead and check the answer first. All right, I came back and looks like we got the second derivative correctly. All right, now we set it equal to 0 and solve for x. All right, so we're going to set this guy equal to 0. So what you're going to get is you just have to worry about setting the numerator equal to 0. So numerator is negative 2x times 96 minus x squared equal to 0. All right, so we get that. Right? Then you can see that the x value is x equals 0, or if you solve this part, set that equal to 0, it's going to be a plus or minus square root of 96, whatever that is. So it's going to be, so I'm going to get either x equals 0 or plus or minus square root of 96, right? So we get that. All right, so 0 is a good solution. You can plug in and to get a value. But here, plus or minus square root of 96 is not even in the domain of the original function, because if you plug in here, you have 64 minus 96, which is a negative number, which we cannot have under the square root. So these cannot be the answer. The only answer is 0. All right, so let's type it in. So we plug in 0 here, right? Let's check the answer. All right, it came back, and looks like we got this one correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.